When I got the job at Outback Steakhouse as a server, when I first moved to Michigan shortly after I was finished with college, I was trying to figure out why I didn't want to be a high school teacher after I just got to school to become a high school teacher. And so um, I had a new baby. I had just moved to Michigan, and and I was trying to make a little extra money. And I always enjoyed waiting tables. I had done it all the way through college, and I bartended. I made good money at it. I was good. I was good at serving. I was good at waiting tables. And it's a lot of people don't really think about it, but essentially that's a straight commission position. Um, One of the things that was different about Outback Steakhouse, though, was despite the fact that I had a lot of experience as a server, I didn't get to wait my first table there for over a month. They did something that none of the other places I had ever waited tables at did. Uh, when I went in there, despite my experience, they I had to spend several days doing dishes as a dishwasher. I had to spend several days bussing tables. I had to spend several days standing on the line cooking with the cooks and then shadowing the existing servers for a long time. It was really a long time before I got to wait on my first table. Another thing that was a little unique was that they only gave you a maximum at this particular, and I don't know if all of them are this way or not, but these lessons really stuck with me as I've started the rest of my career. But they only gave me 3 tables at a maximum to serve. So I had been, I'd worked at places before where it got busy. Sometimes you'd have 5 or 6 tables, and that can be really tough to try and organize. You can't. There's no way to possibly give superb service when you've got 6 or 7 tables that you're trying to organize. I mean, you can give adequate service, but to really wow somebody, and that was the philosophy that this particular Outback store had, was that customers come in to have fun. They've just waited, an hour to get in to have this food, or sometimes, and so when they get there, it needs to be a good experience. They need to have superb service. And I really appreciated that. And it's interesting. I ended up making way more money only having a maximum of 3 tables at a time than I ever did at any of the places where I would have 5 or 6 tables. One of the biggest things, though, that I had noticed, and I just thought it was the way things were when I had waited tables at other places, was that it was not uncommon for the cooks and the servers to not get along. Okay, and I understand why. The servers are out there getting the joke and laugh and have fun with the customers sometimes. But also when something's wrong, customers are always asking for that. Put this on the side, or can you leave this off, or whatever. And sometimes, especially when you have a lot of tables, the server can mess up, or there can be a miscommunication. Cooks, they are so busy trying to organize. Think about their job. I mean, they're back there hot and sweaty and miserable in grease, and I mean, it's just got to be miserable back there, especially on a really busy night. And then to have a server come in there and go, "Hey, I need this on the side. Can you leave this off? This steak's overdone. This, whatever, whatever, whatever." And so I think, and the other thing is, it's really easy for servers a lot of times to, regardless of who's made the mistake, even if it was the cooks that made the mistake, they are so quick to throw those cooks under the bus. It's amazing to me how similar, being in the water treatment industry or in the in-home service industry, it's amazing to me how similar a lot of the dealerships, whether they're plumbing companies or HVAC companies or water treatment companies, how similar they are to the restaurant dynamic. I am blown away by the number of companies that we've gone in to work with across this country, where the sales professionals, or salespeople in some cases, there is a difference, and the service technicians or the service professionals, how they clash. They just don't get along. One of the very first things that I did when I became regional sales manager of Clearwater Systems was I worked with our amazing service manager, Mark Keller, and we stopped having separate service and sales meetings. We started doing it all together. And we had, at that time, there were a dozen, 12 sales people. Not all of them were as professional at that time, on our staff. And I've heard this phrase a lot, where service techs or installers will say it takes a sales guy 30 seconds to say it, and it takes a service installer 3 hours to do it. And that's so true. So I really want to explore why that's different. Why they don't get along there. So if you stop and think about it, right? The sales guy, if he's doing well, and I say sales guy, there are some excellent sales professional women out there, so I'm going to say sales professional. Jen, Vice President of Moti-Vitality, is one of the most professional, superb sales professionals I've ever seen. So when I say sales guy, I don't mean to alienate anybody in today's world. But you think about it, the sales professional comes in on a Tuesday afternoon. Obviously, they've just gotten off of a golf course. They come in to get a check, maybe that they didn't pick up on Friday or whatever, or to drop something off. The service tech happens to be in the office picking up parts, especially if they're picking up parts because that particular salesperson wrote the wrong plumbing down, and they're over there installing it, and they had to come back to the office to get new parts and go back because that salesperson that just got off the golf course wrote down the wrong stuff, didn't do a proper plumbing assessment, wrote down the wrong stuff. Talk about how quickly is it going to take? How quickly is animosity going to grow in that situation? So that the sales guy, now what the service tech or the service installer does not see is that salesperson that same night has a 7 o'clock sales appointment that evening, and he drives out there. He had to tell his daughter that he couldn't tuck her in that night, even though she asked, climbed up on his lap and cried and said, "Daddy, will you please tuck me in?" And the sales guy said, "I can't, honey, I have to go to work." And so he left. He told his daughter he couldn't tuck her in, and he left, and he went out there and he ran this appointment with this little old lady that wasn't ever going to buy anything. She just wanted to spend a lot of time. She was just lonely, and she just wanted to tell this guy, how she came up with the name for her 6 cats, and that guy then had to go home that night and tell his wife, "Honey, that big sale that I made, they postponed it until next month, or they canceled, which means that I don't have enough to make the mortgage payment this month." Okay, that's what the service tech does not see, are the ups and downs, the challenges of that job. Now, what the salesperson doesn't see, what that sales professional does not see, is the service tech coming in there at 6 o'clock in the morning, loading up a truck, driving out there, laying on his back in wet, cold mud, wrapping heat tape around pipe under a mobile home. Okay, he doesn't see the having to come back and get new parts and do this, or he doesn't get the stress of the leaks that he spent all this time doing this job, and then suddenly he gets a call back because it's leaking or whatever. The sales guy doesn't see that. And so you have two completely different personalities, different types of people who do each of these jobs, two completely different sets of skills, but they are part of the same team, the same business. It's like legs and arms. We're all part of the same body, but we have, legs and arms have different functions, but it's really difficult to function without one or the other, so, not completely. You function most efficiently when you have both arms and both legs working in conjunction with the body. Well, that's the way the service and the sales team should be. So what do you do about that? How do you do it? Well, I'm going to take the lesson that Outback taught me. I had so much respect. And in fact, at Outback, it was really amazing. The servers and the cooks, they got along. I'd never worked at a restaurant where that was the case, where they all got along with each other so well. They did favors for each other. They didn't throw each other under the bus. They helped each other out. It was awesome. So take a lesson from that. If you are a sales professional, spend time with your service techs. Go help them. Go ride with them. And don't just ride with them and watch them. Carry a bag of salt into the basement. Carry their tool bag. Help them clean up so that their day gets, I mean, think about it. They want to get home to their families and do this stuff. Go out there and ask them, what can I do to make your job easier? How can I help you? Okay, they're going to understand that you mess up sometimes. They know that you're not a service tech. But if you take a plumbing assessment form, for example, or a home inspection form, if you're in doing more than just water treatment or HVAC or something like that, take a home inspection form in there and fill it out thoroughly. Don't just use it as a sales thing to convince the homeowner that they have to do all of this stuff to buy all this stuff. Take that form. If you don't have one, create it. We've got plumbing assessment forms on Moti-Vitality.com that you can download. But take that form, fill it out completely, and if you don't know how to fill it out, ask the installer to teach you. Okay? Let them explain what's going on, and ask them how you can help them. Get out there, and if you're a service tech or an installer and you're watching this and you've never seen an in-home sales presentation, well, shame on you, number one, okay? Because these are people out there, you need to understand what they're saying. Maybe they're saying it wrong because nobody has ever told them that they're saying it wrong. Maybe if you actually, asked them to, go ride with them on a sales call, spend time with them, get to know your salespeople. And you know what? If they're unscrupulous and they're out there lying to the customers, we need to actively get rid of them, okay? Because they're hurting our industries. They're hurting our customers. They're hurting you. So we need to know about that. But mostly it's probably just misunderstanding. It's probably just that you have two completely different types of individuals working in two completely different worlds. And really the solution to eliminating or minimizing the animosity between the two is to get them talking to each other. Just simply get them talking to each other. Ride with each other, communicate with each other, have some empathy for each other. This is my take on it. I think that the companies work a lot better. We serve our customers a lot more effectively when we are all working as a team as opposed to against each other. Any questions or thoughts or anything I can help with, please reach out, Moti-Vitality.com, or you can shoot me an email at kellyt@Moti-Vitality.com, or reach out to me here on the social media. And we will talk to you in the future, next week, if not before. Thanks. Bye.